I came out of the bunker. What I saw was awful. There were only destroyed buildings and some remnants of civilization around. My parents were right. The apocalypse really did happen. Hi, I'm Sherry, and you're watching the Private Diary channel. We have a ton of interesting stories here. Don't forget to watch mine first, though. The beginning of my life was quite unusual. I was born in a bunker and lived in it until I turned 17. We need to go back to the distant year 1999 to understand how that happened. The time machine hasn't been invented yet, but we can always use our imagination, can't we? Of course, I wasn't born then yet. Mom and Dad had just got married. They worked as scientists in a small town. In case you didn't know, many people at that time were concerned about the Y2K problem. A lot of people genuinely believed that as soon as the year 2000 came, all of the computers and the equipment would break and boo, the world would end. There's a ton of articles about it online. My parents were among those who believed that the end of the world was near. They built a bunker under their house, equipped it with a generator and everything necessary for survival, like food and drinking water. On the eve of the new year, they walked into the bunker and closed the door with a combination lock. We'll be safe now. A few years later, I was born. My parents had built a huge library in their bunker, and they used all sorts of books to teach me. They even studied medicine and removed my appendix themselves. Well, it's not like they had a choice. There were no hospitals in the bunker. Everything I knew about the world before the apocalypse came from the movies on old VHS tapes. I liked my life in the bunker, and I even had a hobby. I'd read a bunch of textbooks about technology and build simple robots using parts from other devices. For example, I made this robot vacuum cleaner out of a broken toaster. However, I wanted to go outside and see the real sky more and more by the day. Unfortunately, my parents were against it. Sherry, the apocalypse destroyed everything. There's nothing to see. I believed them. Until one day, our radio started playing modern songs. Are there other people out there after all? That's when I realized my parents were wrong, and I asked them for permission to come up to the surface, but they wouldn't let me go, and I didn't know the door code. And then, one day, our generator broke down, the power went out, and the door opened automatically. I seized my chance. While Mom and Dad were busy repairing the generator, I grabbed our Polaroid and headed upstairs. I wanted to take photos of everything to look at later. However, I was in for an unpleasant surprise. There was only a lifeless wasteland and destroyed buildings around. The apocalypse really did happen. I still wanted to go for a walk and bask in the sun. That's how I ended up in the city center. What I saw there blew my mind. Huge skyscrapers, shops, crowds of people. Life was buzzing all around me. There was so much going on, I didn't know where to look first. On the right, a man was walking his robo-dog, and on the left, a robot was walking an ordinary dog. Beep, beep. Archie's a good boy. Most people were using e-scooters and hoverboards. Everyone was holding some device. I later learned that those were smartphones. There were cars with no drivers on the roads. Wow. If I was dreaming, then I didn't want to wake up. I stopped a random passerby and I asked him if an apocalypse had really happened or not. Of course not. We're using more technologies than ever these days. See? That was awesome news. I took out my Polaroid to take photos of everything around and show them to my parents. But then, a picture that my family and I had taken the day before fell out of it. I put it in my pocket and walked on. It turned out, a lot of scientists lived in that city. That's why there were so many amazing things there. I even saw a mini plane getting tested. Soon, everyone will be flying these beauties. I had never been so excited in my life. In the evening, I got hungry and walked into a store. I didn't know how money worked and I thought all food was free, like in our bunker. I took some chips, sat down on the floor and got to eating. But then the shop employee ran up to me. It was the most handsome guy I'd ever seen. To be fair, I hadn't seen that many guys yet, but I digress. He started shouting that he'd call the police and demanded I pay. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how things work around here. Did you grow up in a jungle? No, I grew up in a bunker. Yeah, right. And I'm from the moon. Really? Are you an astronaut? Wow, you're weird. I was just kidding. His name was Keanu. He didn't believe my story and demanded I pay for the chips. I told him I had no money and I asked if I could work off my debt instead. Yeah, okay. You can clean the floors before the store closes. I still need to fix that automatic door. I was hoping he'd give me some sort of flying bucket and mechanical mop, but to my disappointment, I had to wash the floors the old-fashioned way. Keanu couldn't figure out why the door kept jamming. Damn. Seems like I'll have to call a master. Relax. The master is already here. What? Give me the tools and 5 minutes. I'll fix it. Yeah, right. Like I'd believe a girl is good at this stuff. He hadn't even finished his sentence yet, and I'd already finished. Ta-da! A wire came undone, that's all. Wow, I take it back. Where'd you learn how to do this? I read a lot of textbooks in our bunker. When I was 8, I made an electric nose picker. Oh, where are my manners? Let me introduce myself. I'm Sherry. Oh, you're so weird, Sherry. Your jokes about the bunker are something else. I think my friends would like you. By the way, I'm going to a student party. Do you want to come? I didn't know what parties were, but I agreed anyway, because I wanted to learn as much as possible about the real world. We closed the store and headed to the station. We'll get to the party in 10 minutes on an E-train. What's that? Are you serious? It's a high-speed electric express train. Have you just moved here? I'm telling you, I grew up in... Oh, you're not gonna believe me anyway. Yeah, I just moved here. The train arrived at the station. OMG. It looked like a spaceship, and it moved so fast I was pressed into the seat. The view of the night city outside the window actually blurred. On the way to the party, I found out that Keanu wanted to be an actor and worked in that store part-time. When we arrived, he introduced me to his friends. What's your Instagram, Sherry? What's Instantgrams? I know. It's embarrassing. But I knew nothing about social media back then. Luckily, no one heard me because of the loud music. Soon, the cops came and everyone tensed up. The party's over. We got 3 noise complaints because of you. The cops brought us to the police station. They started checking everyone's IDs. Keanu and his friends were fined and released. Then it was my turn. Where's your ID? I don't have that. I was born in a bunker and came up to the surface for the first time today. I wasn't born yesterday. You think I'm gonna believe that? The officer thought I was deceiving him, so he asked me for my parents' names and ran them through the system. Huh, well, that's weird. It says here they've been missing since 1999. That made perfect sense, actually. That was the year they hid in the bunker. The cop kept searching and eventually, he said he found my grandparents on my mother's side. He called them and asked them to come to the station. Here's your granddaughter. She was arrested at a party. You should keep a closer eye on her. The old couple was so stunned, they didn't even say anything as we were chased out of the station. This must be a mistake. We don't have a granddaughter. Who are you, girl? Grandma and Grandpa didn't know about me. To prove I wasn't lying, I showed them a photo of me and my parents. I'm Sherry, and Mom and Dad have been in a bunker this whole time because they thought the world had ended. They looked at the picture and burst into tears of joy. Oh, I can't believe it! It's really our daughter and her husband! We've been grieving for so many years. We've already lost all hope of seeing them again. Sherry, can you show us where you lived? Of course! I told them that the entrance to the bunker was in an abandoned neighborhood. Grandpa called an unmanned taxi and we drove there. Half an hour later, we went down and met my worried parents. They immediately scolded me for running away. However, then they finally noticed I hadn't come back alone. Mom? Dad? Is that really you? Oh dear! I must have cried an ocean when you went missing. We had a group hug. It took me and my grandparents a long time to prove to my parents the world hadn't ended. Come on, let's go up. We can all live together in our place. I told them about all the new technologies, and I showed them my Polaroid photos. It took some convincing, but in a few hours, they finally agreed to leave the bunker. We moved in with my grandparents, and a new life began for me. I bought a smartphone, went to school for the first time in my life, and I decided to become an engineer in the future. Grandpa worked at a research center and promised to get me an internship there. However, my parents just couldn't accept the fact that the world had changed. They were afraid of the new technologies, and everything seemed alien to them. I wanted to help them get used to the new reality, so I started driving them around the city. That was a mistake. Darling, did you see that? A robot is walking the dogs. How scary! Then we came to Keanu's store, and I tried to teach my parents how to pay for purchases with a phone. My friend was surprised to see me. Oh, Sherry, it's good to see you. You weren't released from the station with everyone else, and I didn't know how to contact you. Who are these strange people? These are my parents. Don't be too hard on them. They only recently got out of the bunker. Wait, so everything you said was true? Are you only just now realizing that? While we were chatting, my parents went outside. Through the window, I saw them get scared of the flying flying drones and fall to the ground, covering their heads with their hands. Sorry, Keanu, I gotta go. I ran outside. Passers-by crowded around my parents. They were laughing and filming them on their phones while Mom and Dad were saying some insane stuff. I get it now. The apocalypse has already happened. Computers took over humanity. That's right. It's all fake. Wake up, people. You live in a computer simulation. You lunatics are hilarious! This video will go viral for sure! That was it, I'd had enough. After chasing the onlookers away, I brought my parents home. Unfortunately, that evening, the video of them went viral. Not only journalists, but also psychiatrists became interested in our story. The next morning, they came over and said we had to go to the clinic with them. My parents were led to a separate ward, and I was examined personally by the head physician of the clinic, Dr. Marsh. She ran some tests and talked to me for a long time. Sherry, what do you see in this picture? A blob shaped like a butterfly. This is a Rorschach test. I've read about it. I see you're a smart girl. Do you also think we're in a simulation? Of course not. Mom and Dad just made a mistake and got a little carried away. I was pronounced sane and discharged. Meanwhile, my parents were locked up in the clinic. I was terribly upset, but hoped that they would get help and accept reality soon. I kept living with my grandparents, studying and hanging out with Keanu. One day, he told me that everyone on the internet called my parents bunker wackos. There were a lot of terrible memes about them. I'm sorry, Sherry. I regretted bringing them out of the bunker. It was my fault they were locked up in an asylum. I had to do something about it. I came to visit them and have a serious talk. Mom, Dad, I know you're not crazy. You do realize that this is reality and not a simulation? Of course we know that, sweetheart. We were just stressed when we saw how much things have changed over the years. This is no longer our world and we'll never fit in. I realized that I had to help my parents go back to the one place where they felt like they belonged, to the bunker. So I came to Dr. Marsh and I tried to explain that my parents were healthy and they should be discharged. However, she just laughed coldly. I know there's nothing wrong with them, but their case is so interesting, it helped me become popular in the scientific community. I'm going to write a book and film a documentary about your parents. They're my ticket to wealth and popularity. I'm not letting them go. The nerve of her! She messed with the wrong family. I distracted Dr. Marsh and I stole her pass from the table. Got it. Thank you for your time. Bye. Next, I asked Keanu for help. See the photo on this pass? We need to make me look like Dr. Marsh. Ah, well, you've come to the right place. He wanted to be an actor, remember? We went to his college, found a wig, and picked makeup for me that made me look older. Cool. Now no one will suspect a thing. The next morning, Keanu came to the real Mrs. Marsh's house to stall her. Meanwhile, I calmly showed the pass to the security guard and walked into the clinic. I came to my parents' ward and I let them out. Psst, it's me, Sherry. Sweetie, what are you doing? There's no time to explain. Follow me, I'll get you out of here. At the same time, Keanu was using his acting skills to distract the evil doctor. Is anyone there? I'm blind and my guide dog ran away. Help me get home? I don't get paid to help you. Ask someone else. By the way, she didn't know that my friend was secretly filming everything on her phone. He couldn't stall her for long, but it was long enough for me to sneak my parents out. We'd almost got out when my wig fell off. The security guard noticed it and chased after us. What? Stop right there. I had left 3 e-scooters outside just in case we needed to quickly get away. I told my parents to go back to their bunker, and I headed in the other direction to throw the guard off their trail. He followed me, but I managed to lose him. Then I turned around and met my parents by the bunker. It worked! No one knows where our home is. You can relax. Sherry, aren't you coming back with us? No. I'm sorry, but I belong here. I like this future. The new technologies and the innovations. That's right, Sherry. You're so talented. I'm sure you'll achieve whatever you set your mind to. I promised to visit my parents often, and we hugged each other goodbye. Soon, the video of Dr. Marsh refusing to help a blind man went viral. The public was furious, and the woman got fired. She got what she deserved. Keanu and I became an item. I lived with my grandparents until I got into college. Now, I'm an intern at a research center and trying to create a robotic assistant that looks like me. Great! She looks so real! As soon as the first version is ready, I'm gonna give her to my parents so they won't miss me so much. Progress cannot be stopped. New scientific discoveries are made every day. You can be a part of it or hide from technologies in a bunker. I chose my path and I haven't regretted it. Do you think a time machine will be invented soon?